back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, my name is Mel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about my BMT experience, okay? So, I went to BMT July 14th, 2020. So, it's almost been a year for me. I'm a week out from a year from me leaving from BMT. And my BMT experience was something memorable, okay? So I went during COVID. It hit in March of 2020, and then I left in July. I had already started my process of going into the military, so I started everything with my recruiter back in January of 2020. I went through all the steps. I got accepted to go to MEPS. Went to MEPS February 13th of 2020. Swore in that same day and came back and was waiting to book a job, and then COVID hit and everything started slowing down, and it's like, oh boy, when am I going to be able to leave? So my first job that I had booked for was security forces, and if I would have taken that job, which I didn't, if I would have taken that job, I would have left, I believe, May 19th, 2020. But I ended up not taking that job. And instead, I went for a second round to book for another job, which I ended up taking that second job, which was a maintenance job as aircraft armament systems apprentice. And I left July 14th, 2020. My original ship date was July 7th, but they were only sending a certain amount of people to basic, and my date got pushed back, but it only got pushed back a week, which is good. I know some people that got pushed back way farther. The day before, July 13th, I had to go up to MEPS again, and I had to stay the night at the hotel. And then the next day, I shipped out from my home state to San Antonio, Texas. Let's say for my first flight from Ohio to Houston, I had to wait a little minute because I got to the hotel, I got to the airport at like 12 p.m. that day, and my flight didn't leave until like 6 p.m. So I had to wait in the airport that long amount of time. I think I took a nap. I was calling family, friends. And I waited, got on that first flight, made it to Houston. And if you know me, I'm a Chick-fil-A connoisseur, okay? So I had to make sure before I went to BMT that I found a Chick-fil-A to eat before. So I looked and I was like, is there a Chick-fil-A at the airport in Houston? I'm like, yes, there is. But it closed at 7 p.m. And for my flight itinerary, it said that I was going to be leaving or landing in Houston by like 6:50. So I'm like, I don't think I'm going to make it. But by the grace of God, we landed early. I think it was like 6:20, 6:30. I ran to get me some Chick-fil-A, got that Chick-fil-A, and it was like only like a 30-45 minute layover. Ran and got that Chick-fil-A, got back to the terminal I was supposed to be at, ate my stuff, and called some more family. And then I got back on that flight from Houston to San Antonio. That's when stuff got real, okay? So when we got to San Antonio, got off the flight, I'm trying to figure out where I'm going. But me, I don't know, I'm a little weird. I was excited to go to BMT, okay? I wasn't nervous. I didn't have that like tingly feeling. I was full of energy. And I have no idea why. I have no freaking idea. I'm not like the typical person. But we get to San Antonio. I'm walking to where everybody's supposed to meet up. And you hear the MTIs. There's a couple of MTIs. They're yelling at you. Get in this line. Da-da-da-da-da. Turn your phone off. Line up by your last name, A through something in this line. And you know how that goes. So I'm standing in a line waiting. I had to fill out some papers, and they had us get in another line to wait for the bus to come. And boy, everybody was so nervous. They dropping their stuff, people crying, all that good stuff. And I'm like, it's not that serious. It's It's not that serious at all. But we're waiting. The bus finally comes. The line for me, that bus comes. And they're like, go, 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 go. Get on the bus. Get on the bus. Get on the bus. And I remember the girl that was in front of me running to get to the bus, she dropped all her stuff. And the MTI was yelling at her like, pick your stuff up. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And I didn't know whether to help her or not. Knowing me, my kind self, I wanted to help her. But I'm like, nah, they yelling. I gotta just go. They're like, go, 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 get on the bus, get on the bus. So I get on the bus and I'm sitting there and I'm looking at her. I'm like, dang, I wish I would have helped her. Like, I felt really bad. But she got her stuff. She's the last one on the bus. And then from the airport to Lackland Air Force Base, it was probably like a 15-minute drive. I'm sitting on the highway. We on the highway. And I'm looking out the window, just happy, like sitting there like, I'm about to go basic training. I'm so excited. Nobody's talking. Like, it's just complete silence on the bus. Complete silence. So we get to Lackland. They pull in. And we had to make like a first stop. And we had to pick up like our book bags, our hygiene products, everything that they were issuing us before we got to our squadron. So there was an MTI that came on the bus. They're like, you're gonna go get off the bus, you're gonna form a line, you're gonna pick up everything you need, and then you're gonna get back on the bus, and then we're gonna take you to where you're gonna be staying for the next 7.5 weeks. So we got off the bus, got in that line, picked up everything. And I was like, thank you, thank you, thank you. Every time somebody gave something to me, and somebody was saying something to me, and I was like, okay, okay, okay. And one girl was like, you need to learn to say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. I was like, okay. it's just a habit. And I'm like, dang. So I really got to pick that up quick, because once I get there, they're going to be on our butts about it. So we get back on the bus. They take us to our squadrons. We get off the bus. We're waiting in a line. They're taking our weight. And once they took my weight, they had me go to a group. And that group was my flight. That was my flight that I was going to be with for the next 7.5 weeks. By the time I got to Lackland, it had to be like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. I was one of the last groups to get there. It was about 30 other girls already sitting down. Some of them look like they had been there all day. So I sit down, we're filling out a couple name tags and stuff, and they're having us open and eat our MREs. Now, I had already ate Chick-fil-A like a couple hours before I got there. So I was full. I was good. But I wanted to see what was in the MRE, and that's the moment that I got scared. I'm like, I hope we're not eating MREs for the next 7.5 weeks, because I don't think I'm going to be able to survive. And I couldn't even get the MRE open. I had to ask the girl next to me. I was like, can you open this for me? And she was like, yeah, she knew what she was doing, so she opened it. And they had like some crackers, some meal that you had to warm up. I can't remember what exactly it was, but I didn't really have time to eat it. When I got mine open, the MTI was like, okay, everybody, you need to start wrapping stuff up. Make sure you throw away your MREs. Do not take anything upstairs into the dorms. Now me, I'm still trying to fill stuff out because I was one of the last people to get there. And I'm like, okay, they're rushing us. Time is ticking. So I shove everything in my bag, including the MRE. Not throwing it away. I forgot. So we went upstairs to our dorm. They had us like find a bed. We walked around the bays, found a bed, and they was like, find the number on your bed, point at it, say it out loud. Now go to your wall locker, find the same wall locker, point at the number, say it out loud, go back to your bed, go back to the wall locker, go to your bed, go to your wall locker. And I'm like, okay, this is tedious, whatever. So we did that for about 2 minutes, and then they had us all come in one bay, and my male MTI, I had 2 MTIs, one male, one female. The first night we had the male MTI. He had us come into one bay, and he was telling us, you know, if you feel sick, let us know. You won't get recycled. You won't get sent home. Because a lot of people were scared, like, I have to keep this in if I don't feel good because they're going to send me home or something of that nature. He said, don't worry. If you're sick, let us know. We're going to send you to medical. You won't get recycled. You won't get punished for it. So we're all like, okay, do you understand? Yes, sir. Is there any questions? It's silent. And then about 30 seconds later, there's a girl that raises her hand. She's like, sir, I don't feel too well. And then she passes out. And everybody's like, and I'm like, yeah, this is a great start. Night one. Here we go. So after that, she came back. She was good. I don't know. I think it was just the nerves or something like that. And then we all went to sleep. Everybody was scared to get in the bed. They didn't want to mess up their corners and stuff. If you know, you know. But they didn't want to mess up the bed at all because it was done so well. And they're like, yeah, I'm not touching that bed. But me, I was tired. I changed out of my clothes. I changed into pajamas. I ripped them sheets off. I got in the bed and I went straight to sleep because we about to be like this for the next 7 weeks. I don't know how much sleep we about to get. So I'm about to get as much sleep as I can tonight. And the next morning, it's about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. You hear do 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 do. And then she unlocks the door. She come in. She yelling at us, everybody up, everybody up. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, okay, here it goes. So we all got up, standing next to our wall locker at the position of attention. She's yelling in the first bay. Everybody getting scared. And I'm like, all right. And she comes into our bay. She's yelling at us. I don't remember what she was saying. She was just saying a whole bunch of stuff. Just to intimidate us, you know. And I didn't know if we were about to leave or not. Like, I didn't know if we were staying in the dorms, like what was going on. So I was kind of the one that broke the ice. And I'm like, ma'am, can I? She's like, where's your reporting statement? And I'm like, ma'am, trainee Y reports is ordered. That's the reporting statement that you have to say every time you want to say something to your MTI. Sir or ma'am, trainee, blah, 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 reports is ordered. So I was like, ma'am, trainee Y reports is ordered. Can I change out of these pajamas into some regular clothes? She's like, go ahead. She was irritated. So I went in the bathroom. I got some clothes on in the bathroom, came back. She was still yelling, you know. And I don't know, I came back out and I was standing at my wall locker and she was saying something. And she looked at me. She was like, you understand? And I was like, yes, sir. And I didn't do it on purpose. It was because we had a male MTI the night before. So I kind of just got like, okay, sir stuck in my head. I'm like, yes, sir. She's like, do I look like a sir to you? And I was like, no, ma'am, I'm sorry. She keeps going around. She's pointing people out. You understand? And the cycle kept going on. People just kept saying, yes, sir, yes, sir. She just kept getting more mad and mad and mad. And I remember one girl in my bed, she called her a sir. And she was like, do I look like a sir to you? And she's like, yes, sir. I mean, no, ma'am. And yeah, that was like the peak. And she was just like, I think she put us on our face. So putting us on our faces, making us get on the ground and do some type of workout exercise, whether it's push-ups, sit-ups, burpees, whatever. So I think that was the very first time that she put us on our face. And we started doing push-ups and stuff like that. And then after that, it kind of calmed down a little bit. I think we had to do like, we had like study time to study in our BMTSG. If you don't know what a BMTSG is, it's a basic military training study guide. So that's what you're studying throughout the next 7.5 weeks because you have an end of course exam on it that determines whether you graduate or not. So we were studying out of that. And I remember there was another girl that came in late. And she came in and took the bed right next to me. You know who you are. If you're watching this, hey girl. But there was another girl that came in and made her bed next to me. She was already there the night before, but she came into the flight a little late. So I helped her get her wall locker set up. Oh yeah, that's what we did. We set up our wall lockers and did stuff like that. There was a particular way that we had to set things up in the wall locker. And then they had us lay out everything on our beds, right? Everything that we brought. Clothes, shoes, hair products, hygiene, all of that. Lay out everything that we brought. And I was helping her like lay out everything one by one so they can see it. So when they walk by, they can see everything that you got and tell you what's authorized and what's unauthorized. So I heard from the other bay, they did B bay first. B bay was the closest to the door that we entered and exited out of. So they did B bay first, and I heard one of the MTIs saying, "Oh yeah, you can't have that. That's unauthorized. You have to throw it away, throw it away, throw it away." And I think one of the girls in my bay told me, "Yeah, they're probably gonna make you throw that away." And when they said that, they were referring to my hair products. So the hair products that they authorize you at BMT is not for my hair texture at all. I cannot use that. I had to bring my own. And since I was coming on an airplane, I had to condense them down into travel size bottles. And I labeled them and everything so they knew what it was, like co-wash, shampoo, conditioner, leave-in, all of that good stuff. And they were like, yeah, you're probably gonna have to throw that away because it doesn't have a manufactured label on it. And I'm like, I know you kidding me. My hair products are not cheap. They are not cheap, ladies. You know this. They are not cheap. And I'm like, they better understand. So they came around to my bed and they started looking at my stuff. They're like, yeah, everything's good. But the guy, the MTI, the male MTI that came up, he was really sweet. He was like, I know you're gonna hate me, but you're gonna have to throw all of your hair products away. And I was like, are you serious? And he was like, yeah, they don't have a manufacturer label on them. And I'm like, well, I labeled them myself. And he's like, that doesn't matter. It has to be a manufacturer label. Now, the bag, we're only allowed to keep out a certain amount of clothes and stuff, like our spandex, underwear, stuff like that, because they're going to issue you PT clothes and then eventually your OCPs, your uniform. So we could only keep a certain amount out, and the rest would go back into our civilian bags, and they would get locked in a closet for the duration of BMT. And I asked, I said, well, can I put it in my civilian bag so I don't have to throw it away? And they're like, no, because you have times where you can go back in your civilian bag as BMT goes on, and we don't want you to take it out because we don't know what it is. So I was upset. That ruined my whole day. So I had to throw all my hair products away. So I was stuck looking a hot mess for a good 2 weeks before I could get some hair products. I couldn't wash my hair, I couldn't do anything like that because I was not putting that stuff in my hair that they issued us. So that same day, my MTI told me, you have a chance to call whoever you want to give them your mailing address. You have 5 minutes to do it. You have to read off the script. And I'm like, 5 minutes? And what if the person I choose to call, they don't answer? Like, this is all bad. And she was like, yeah, within that 5 minutes, you can let them know that you need hair products. But they can't send you nothing else. Like, no food, nothing like that. Tell them that they can send you hair products to this address. And we're like, okay. So everybody got a chance in that 5 minutes to call whoever they chose to call, to give them the address, and they had to hear you. They had to hear you and understand you clearly. And if they didn't, it was just like, oh well. And I don't understand that. I don't know why they didn't let us take a picture of it and send it to somebody. That would have made so much more sense because they could have seen it whether they were at work or whatever. But we had to call. At the time, I called my boyfriend and gave it to him. I was like, give it to everybody. At least give it to my mom. Because I didn't know if my mom was going to answer or not. So I gave it to him, and he gave it to everybody he needed to give it to. And that was that. Then, days go on. I think maybe 1 or 2 days go on, and we march to medical to get COVID tested, the initial COVID test. They stuck that thing so far up my nose. I think that was my very first time getting a COVID test, and it felt like I tasted blood. My tears were coming down my face. It was all bad, and the results came back, and I believe 2 or 3 girls popped positive for COVID in my flight. So they removed them and they placed them in quarantine. And then the 2 people that were sleeping on either side of them, they removed them as well. So we were down 6 girls from the jump. And we're like, all right, cool. And in that first 2 weeks that we were there, they placed us in ROM, which is restriction of movement. So really the only time we were able to leave our dorms was if we were doing PT in the morning, marching to an appointment as a flight or as an individual, going to the chow hall, or I think that was it. Yeah, so any other time we were in our dorms, studying, rolling clothes, doing laundry, something like that. So I remember they assigned jobs the first day too. So they had element leaders, they had a dorm chief, they had I can't remember all the jobs, but my job, I was part of the laundry crew. I remember I was told before going into BMT that make sure you get laundry crew, because laundry crew is the easiest job. All you have to do is wash clothes, and you just sit there and you have time to study while the clothes are washing. So I made sure that I got laundry crew. They were asking like some kind of questions, like who was responsible back at home, who had a retail job, who did this, who did this, who did this. And they asked a simple question like, I was making sure I didn't raise my hand for certain things because I knew laundry crew was coming up. So it was like, who know how to do laundry? Me. They're like, all right, trainee white, you got laundry crew, and along with 3 other people. So I think that day we had to do laundry. Boy, so many clothes for 30 females. 30? No, I think it was like 38. Close to 40. Every day. Carrying them bags up and down the steps. Every day. It was a lot. It was a lot, but it was chill. It was one of the more chill jobs. So yeah, they assigned jobs. Days go on. We're just staying in our dorms. PT in the morning. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Maybe appointments to march to, but other than that, we were in the dorms. Now let's fast forward 2 weeks, right? So that was the time that we were supposed to get out of ROM because our restriction of movement time was up 14 days. So to get out of ROM as a flight, as a group, you have to go back to medical and test again to make sure nobody else popped positive. Now, in our dorms, we were not following the guidelines that we were supposed to. We weren't wearing our masks. We were in close proximity with everybody. You know, we were showering together, sleeping next to each other, different stuff like that. So, no, we weren't wearing our masks. It just got to a point where we would just take it off once we got in the dorms. And even our MTIs would. But we went back to get tested again. And more girls popped up for positive for COVID. So they're like, yeah, we made the decision that we're going to quarantine you guys as a flight. So individually, we were going to be quarantined for the next 2 weeks. Now, all of us, we were scared. We were scared. We were all crying. We were a bunch of emotional girls, man. Because we didn't know what that was going to do to us. But they told us that, no, you're not going to get recycled. When you come back out of quarantine, you're already going to be halfway through week 4 of BMT. So once you come out, you only got 3 weeks left until you graduate. And we're like, okay, maybe this will be a piece of cake. This is definitely gonna be a piece of cake. So we had to pack all of our stuff up, line up downstairs, wait on the bus that was going to take us to the hotels that we were quarantining at. And on the bright side, we got our phones. So we had our phones. We were in individual rooms with a TV, queen size bed, just chilling. The only thing is I had to share like a bathroom with another girl. And yeah, that's just how it was for the next 2 weeks. We could only come out of our rooms to get our meals and to throw away our trash. So that was my life for the next 2 weeks after that. It was boring, but that gave us time to study. We could do push-ups and sit-ups on our own. The only thing was we couldn't go outside to run, which was a bummer. Because we were so used to running and stuff and PT like every other day or something like that, 2 or 3 times a week. We had the chance to run. And we couldn't do that in quarantine. So we were all nervous. Like we made a group chat. We got each other's phone numbers before we went into quarantine. So we had a group chat talking to everybody and different stuff like that. We had a couple FaceTime groups going on. And we were trying to figure out like, how are we gonna run? Like once we get out of quarantine, our PT test is gonna be coming up shortly after. Our final PT test at that. Because we had an initial PT test, and then during the 3rd week, we were supposed to have another PT test for progress to see where we were at. And then in the 5th week, we had our final PT test. We didn't get to take our 3rd week PT test because we were in quarantine, but we got to take the initial one. So we would see our MTIs every day or every other day because they would still come and drop off mail to us. And I had a lot of mail coming in from my family, but I didn't open it in quarantine because I felt like the purpose of mail was to open it when you couldn't talk to them. And I had my phone so I could talk to them whatever throughout those 2 weeks. So I saved my mail. I didn't open it until we went back into the normal BMT, flow. So I could have some mail to open and read. Because honestly, that's what kept me going every day. Mail is definitely the highlight of BMT. So in quarantine, we would get food. It's the only time we would come out. And we were hearing things about how there were other flights. I think there were 2 or 3 other flights that had to quarantine themselves as well. So we were hearing things about how there were girls or guys sneaking into girls' rooms. They were ordering food when we weren't allowed to, and they eventually got caught. I don't know what their corrective action was or like the consequences, but I know they got caught. And I wasn't about to do anything that I had no business doing. Just chill, get this over with, go back to BMT, do the last 3 weeks, graduate, and be done. So fast forward 2 weeks now. We're in the middle of the 4th week training. And they tell us that we're going back to BMT, normal BMT. And I was a little upset because I had got so used to having my phone again and talking to my loved ones whenever I wanted to. And it's like, man, I do not want to go back. And I think I talked to my mom last and I was upset. I was crying. And she was like, it's only 3 more weeks. It's only 3 more weeks. And it'll be like, none of this ever happened. You'll have your phone again and life will kind of go back to normal. Not really, but it did in a way. So we went back to BMT. And when we got back, our DFAC was closed. Our DFAC was closed because it was infested with fruit flies. Yeah, it was disgusting. Like, every time we would go eat around, like, the drinking fountain, there were fruit flies everywhere. Surrounding the fruit, the drinking fountain, and it was like, this is nasty. Like, they need to do something about this. So by the time we came back, it was already closed. So for every meal, and I mean every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, we had to march to another squadron. Now, if you've gone through BMT, then you know that those walks, it's a lot, especially if you do not live in the Disneyland dorms. I was in an Alcatraz dorm, an older dorm. I was in the 324th Training Squadron, Flight 629. And the 324th was a little ways away from the Disneyland squadrons. So the Disneyland dorms and those squadrons, there was about 4 all in the same vicinity. So if you stayed there and you had that issue, you just had to walk like a little ways that way, a little ways this way. It wasn't that bad. But we were walking to the Disneyland DFACs for every meal. So imagine the same amount of time. I think lunch would run like 2 hours for the whole squadron. Imagine doing that on top of sharing it with another squadron, a whole nother squadron. So it's maybe 20 flights plus 20 flights eating in the same amount of time, eating in the same 2 hours. So yes, we had less amount of time because we had to fit more people, double the people. So we had to make time for that, right? We had to get there. So it would probably take about 20 minutes to march there, 20 minutes to march back. So that took up quite a bit of time on top of everything else that we had to do and make up for in those 2 weeks that we lost. We had to make everything up in a week. So time went by really fast. We had to go get our initial issues. So we had to go get OCPs. We had to get our test done for our M4s, assembling and disassembling and assembling. Sorry. The M4, we had to do our final PT test, which, by the way, once we got out of quarantine individually, we had 3 days because they pushed our PT test forward. They pushed it up. So we had 3 days to prepare for a PT test. So we hadn't run in 2 weeks, and we only got maybe 1 time to run again before our PT test. And I was nervous because I ran track in high school, but I didn't run after that. And I was like, I hope I don't fail. But I did not fail. I actually got an 89 on my PT test. Overall, an 89%. Which I was mad about because if you got a 90, then you didn't have to take the PT test for a whole year. But since I got that 89, I had to take my PT test in 6 months. But that's another story for another time. Which, by the way, my PT test actually is coming up in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. I have my first real Air Force PT test. So wish me luck. Going in the 5th week of BMT training. We had our PT test. We got our OCPs. We had to have everything done that we needed before the 6th week because that was Beast Week. And we were going essentially away from our dorms for about 4 days. And we had to have everything done before then. So we got everything done. The time went by super quick after that because we had so much to do. We were running. Yeah, the time went quick. So 6th week of training was Beast Week. Beast Week was, I give it like a 6 out of 10. So we didn't get to do much because of COVID. They didn't want us touching too many things, all of us at the same time. So really, the only thing we were doing at Beast Week was sitting, watching videos, having classes. We got to do the obstacle course. We got to go to the range. And then other than that, we were picking weeds, doing exercises. And that was really, I don't know. Beast Week wasn't, it was fun, but it wasn't. A lot of girls would say that it was fun because we were intertwined with guys. And girls in BMT, it was like, oh my gosh, every time you would see a guy or a male flight, it's like, oh my gosh, boys, oh my god, we haven't seen them in so long, whatever. So Beast Week, we were in close proximity, and they're like going crazy. So every chance they would get, they would try to go talk to a dude. Let me go talk to him. Let me go talk to him. Let me walk up next to him. You know how girls are. So Beast Week was cool. It wasn't nothing really to brag about. It was my first time shooting. And let me tell you, I was scared. I didn't know what I was doing. They taught us how to hold it. We had like a little 2-hour class prior to going out. And I didn't know what I was doing. I did, but I didn't. I'm like, I know how to hold it. I know how not to shoot somebody else. But yeah, we got out there. They had us in different positions, like laying down on our stomachs. They had us kneeling for one, standing. I was scared. First time they was like, go, or fire. I'm sorry, fire. Everybody was going, pow, 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 pow. And I'm nervous. I'm like, I don't want to pull the trigger. I don't want to pull the trigger. And when I pulled it, you know, it has that what am I trying to say? Y'all know what I'm talking about. It makes you jerk a little bit. I can't think what it's called right now. I was like, okay, that hurt. And then I did it again. I'm like, it hurt again. But I got used to it, and I started liking it. I'm like, okay, this is fun. I think I can get used to this. So we did that for about an hour and a half, and it was fun. I think that was the highlight of my Beast Week. That and the obstacle course, even though they cut some parts out. So Beast Week was 4 days, and then we went back, and then after that, we had, I believe, 6 or 7 days before graduation. So by that time we came back, and they gave us about a day or two to study for our EOC, our end of course exam. We had a lot of time, honestly, to study for our end of course exam. But I had heard rumors like, oh, they make it easy. It's not that bad. If you study and you paid attention in the classes that we had to go to, you'll be all right. And that morning came. We went, took our end of course exam. Nobody failed, so that was a good yay us. Yeah. So after that, it was like cakewalk until we graduated. By the way, we graduated with top PT. My flight was top PT for all the females. We had the best overall PT scores. So yeah, 7th week came, and we're so excited to graduate. I had been counting down the days with some of the girls since day one. Like, we got 35 days until we graduate. We got 21 days. We got 6 days. Like, we was ready. We was pumped. But it got closer and closer, and we're like, dang, we've really created such a bond with each other that we don't want to leave each other. And I was only going to tech school with 2 other people, and I wasn't really too close with them. I got closer to other people, and I'm like, man, we gotta leave. We have to leave each other. But we're praying, hoping like, okay, our first duty station, hopefully we get stationed together, you know, different stuff like that. But man, graduation came. It was a little bittersweet. That last night we stayed up. We was talking. We were all in the day room. We pulled our blankets and stuff. We stayed up because we did not want to leave each other. We signed each other's our BMT photos. I had bought a photo, and we were signing the back of it, kind of like you do a yearbook in high school. And yeah, I graduated September 3rd, 2021. And then I went from Lackland to Shepherd. And I had tech school there. And I'll make a separate video about tech school. I actually want to collab with one of my friends, and we're going to do a sit-down tech school video tech school, maybe / first duty station, the process, because we're here together now. We're both at Kadena Air Base in Japan together for the next 3 years. So we're definitely gonna sit down and do a video about that. But yeah, that is my BMT experience. Definitely feel free to comment down below, like, subscribe. If you have any questions, I am more than welcome to answer, because I was that girl on YouTube, you know, searching different BMT experiences, looking for answers prior to going to BMT. Now, I don't know how other branches work, but I am in the Air Force. So, if you have any Air Force related questions, you know, I've been in for 1 week shy of a year now. So I think I could give you a few answers. You know, if you have any questions, make sure to leave them down below and I will respond. But if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, share, and I will see you guys later. Thank you. Mwah.